So far with this season with the Vampire Lestat, the music has been heavily a part of the entire story. To the point where it's like each episode really has its own song, and he's making an album, but even the music itself is telling the story. And in episode 5, we get the beautiful ballad of Stained Glass Eyes, which is really Lestat's open love letter to Claudia, and I feel like it's his way of apologizing, and also his way of, I think, truly breaking through his bravado and showing us, and maybe even showing Claudia in spirit, that he truly did love her and he truly did appreciate all that she truly was. She didn't come about of the best terms. Like he said, all vampires are born out of trauma. But throughout the season so far, through Claudia's recollection and even through Louis, and the more we go through this story, we really start to figure, are Louis' memories really his? But staying on the stained glass eyes, I don't think we as an audience truly take into effect that Lestat gave birth to Claudia. She was his fledgling, but he also witnessed her death. And there was a specific line in the song about how she never broke her stare. And I think possibly from Claudia's perspective, it was her way of standing in her dominance, standing in who she truly was as her own character and her own person, but maybe also as a defiance to Lestat, because you have to understand from her perspective, she feels as if Lestat thinks of her as like a mistake. But in this moment, we see that he's really hurt. He's very hurt. I think everything that he's ever loved, every person he's ever loved, has left him in some type of disastrous way, and it's just another cut and another blow to his self-esteem, from his mama to Nikki to Louis and to Claudia. Like, all of his fledglings, in a sense, have left him. And we know from in vampirism, most people have a fledgling to have a companion, or have someone there with them for life. And all of Lestat's fledglings have left him. His mama, she just come and go. Nikki, he should have never made him in the first place. And I think he was relieved of him dying, but to see him die and at the hands of Armand is traumatizing. Him and Louis, everything that has happened, also with Armand, and then Claudia, literally like his baby girl, his daughter, he saw her be murdered, like killed in front of him. And I just think that it just keeps reopening that wound from him as a child, not feeling like he was ever good enough. And we also, to have Lestat be really the deciding factor to let us know that Regina ain't Claudia. And we as the audience, we felt it and we knew it, but I think just like Louis, we wanted to have some type of hope in this endless well that we knew was not going to end well. Because Lestat, Louis calls him and he's like in distress. He's at his wit's end. And he's like, I need you to go in here and I need you to see if that's Claudia. And he says, first of all, Negro, I got shot and you didn't even check on me. Like, I think that's another dig. Like, damn, don't nobody give a fuck about me. And I'm very happy that he said that. I'm very happy that Lestat, even in that moment, even though he's very vulnerable, Louis is very vulnerable, he told, like, that shit hurt my feelings. Like, and next time, if something happens to me, at least call and check up on me. I think for him, it feels like, damn, is he really over him? Because we know that Lestat has not moved on from Louis, but the way that Louis is able to unnerve Lestat in those moments, because Lestat is he's very impulsive, and what he feels, we as the audience knows it, and Louis is able to reserve himself. So I think for Lestat, I think at moments he might be really thinking like, oh shit, is he really over me? Like, I got shot and he didn't even call, he didn't give a fuck. Damn, my man really is over me. He brought his new boo up here. Whoa. But back to Regina, aka Claudia, to know that we as the audience, Lestat is the one who goes in there and he sees her and he sees like, yes, you look like her, but he immediately clocks it. He's like, you don't have her eyes, her stained glass eyes, which are the eyes of vampires. And it's almost like, well, she wouldn't have it because we understand like she's not the vampire, but it was almost like, well, could she have been Claudia in a different realm? Like she's because she burned as a vampire, she came back as something else, who knows? But he's like, not even just that, like your walk, your gait is something of a hip injury that Claudia never had. And he's like, I know Louis is paying you. Stop taking the money and leave him alone. And Regina, aka Claudia Light, I think she knows in that moment that she could play on Louis' vulnerability and play on his weakness and his yearning for her to be Claudia. But with Lestat, she couldn't pull that. But at the same time, I don't think it's kind of fair to look at Regina as a bad person for doing that because it's obvious that's what Louis wanted. And she just gave him what he wanted, gave into his fantasy. Um, but to see and hear the stained glass eyes, and that song is what totally takes the album in a completely different trajectory, and that's where we get him telling the band that this is this this is the sonic sound that we're gonna be going with. Everything that we did before won't be on the album. And this moment is pretty much the deciding factor for the band and also what led Larry to leave. But it was a beautiful moment to see Lestat really break and not just pertaining to his mama or pertaining to Louis, like really break. You see like the father in him, and not just the father in him, you kind of just see the human in him being hurt by losing someone that he truly loved. It wasn't romance, it wasn't like out of obligation, it wasn't out of coercion. This is someone that he loved, and I think he also felt guilty in the moment that he didn't show up for her in the ways that she could have felt and known his love in her life. And it's just a culminating moment, a full circle moment, and a final real break for Lestat that we get to see his humanity. And we've been building up to it the entire time, but to see him break, to sing this song and to see Claudia and then her hands burn as she's on the other side of the screen in the recording studio, it was cathartic and also very healing in a way. You feel like Lestat finally is able to tell Claudia, I'm sorry and I love you at the same time.